I'm a singer, actor, comedian. I have performed on various comedy shows on stage. I've also done some voiceover acting. I created 11 characters who all live in my head. Each one has a different accent and a different way about them. I have cameoed in various movies, and I have also shot my first feature film starring role. The movie is called Banana Island Ghost. I'm looking forward to doing many other projects that are in the works. Shooting something very soon in South Africa. Gosh, where do I even begin? But anyway, this is how I got here. So before I started doing all of these things in entertainment, I had moved back from the US about 11 years ago, and in the US I studied French education, and I taught high school and taught French in the US for 3 years. Moved back here and I taught high school for a little bit. I taught school for a little bit here, and then I moved to Abuja. I was working at the ECOWAS Commission, first as a translator, then I worked in the conference and protocol department. Then this whole comedy situation happened while I was living in Abuja, and it got to a place where I was coming to Lagos almost every weekend because I had shows to do. I was emceeing events, I was doing different things, and then it got to a place that after discussing this with my manager, and he was like, you know what, maybe when we get to a place where your 9 to 5 is sort of like disturbing your Chigul work, and Chigul work is paying good money, I think maybe we'll just leave the 9 to 5. And that was sort of like something we talked about. And eventually it got to a place where I decided one day, you know what, I'm just going to resign. And I just got up one day, literally, gave them my 3 months notice, and I resigned from ECOWAS and I moved back to Lagos, and here we are. Lost. I think that, well, actually when I moved back to Nigeria, actually, isn't it weird that I'm talking to you who gave me my first ever foray into the entertainment industries when I did the play The Voice for Ella. And I was doing The Voice for Ella at the time. If you remember, my father passed away, and I was on stage 2 days after that. And I remember that's the one time I felt lost, absolutely, totally lost. And I said to myself, and even I was even like a little bit even more lost when the show was ending, because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to have to focus on now? Because now all I had was my grief, because I was thinking about the show and being in it, and it was helping take my mind off of things. But I think that was the one time I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go, because my dad and I had planned to start business together. So now that wasn't going to happen. So, you know, what was the next option? And I think that's the only time I actually felt lost. I think in the midst of my father's death and all of that, I auditioned for West African Idols. And, you know, just my personality shone through somehow. And I made it to Planet 1. I didn't make it all the way to the end, but I made it to Planet 1. At least that was like a major thing. And I got to Planet 1, so it was like top 80 or so. And after that, I sort of realized, okay, I can do these kind of things. And then when I got to Abuja, I also auditioned for Naija Sings first ever season. I got to the Abuja final. So it now sort of like started to sort of become something. It was almost like the seeds were being planted, and I realized, oh, okay. I mean, my singing was something I always wanted to do. The comedy thing was never in my plans, never. I always do these voices all the time, and I record them on my phone, and I would send to my friends, and they would laugh at my stuff, and then they would just delete, like, oh, you're funny, ha ha ha, delete. And then one day when I was on my bed in my house, and I was just lying down at 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep, and then I just thought to myself, okay, another voice coming along, and I just thought about this song that my auntie had taught us when my father died, and it used to make us laugh all the time, Kilode, Kilode, Satan, Kilode. And I was lying on my bed, and I was like, hey, I couldn't sleep, so I was saying, Kilode, Satan, Kilode. Why can't I sleep? So I decided to record Kilode in the Chigul voice, but I introduced myself as Chioma Ciflo Chigul. Nobody remembered Chioma, nobody remembered Ciflo, everybody remembered Chigul. And I did the song Kilode on my BlackBerry Messenger, and sent it off to my friends. Some of my friends, as usual, here comes Chioma with her madness again. Oh my God, it's so funny, ha ha ha, delete. And then a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, Gloria Brimer, she's a gospel singer, she thought it was hilarious, and so she started sending it around. And then not long after that, it got to America, and my sister, who lives in the US, she heard it, and she was like, so she calls me and she goes, I heard this thing, and I want to believe that it's not you, but I have a feeling it's you. So I said, what is it? So she said, this song that they just played up and down. So, and I was like, it's me. So I saw her BlackBerry update, and it was like, I have wonderful siblings, but Chioma, why? Like, literally, she was a bit embarrassed. And my brother also was saying they're passing around his office. What is this rubbish I'm going to do now? Don't you know, you should be more posh than this, you're not Raz, whatever. And I just used to do it as a hobby, because at that time, people used to call me like, oh my God, you're so funny. My auntie is not feeling well. She's depressed. Please send her a voice note. It's my cousin's birthday. Can you sing a song for them? And I would sing a song for them and just do it as a hobby. And then somebody was like, do you realize you could really be making money from these things you're doing? And I was like, I mean, I had a job. I was fine. I was like, okay, whatever. It wasn't a big deal to me. But I think after I had Basket Mouth called me one day and says he wants to put me on his show, Lord of the Ribs. First of all, it's like, what? Basket Mouth calling me for what? And that was my first ever show. That was the first time people got to see the face behind the voice. And I think it sort of like went from there. The voice notes were viral, but nobody knew who I was. People thought Chigul was some chick who was maybe in on nature market selling orange. And people never knew who I was. People didn't know, like, except my friends who were like, because a friend of mine received it and she sent it to me and she was like, why? Oh, I know her, and I know the girl. And the girl that sent it to her was like, you cannot know this person. She said, yes, I know her. Like, she works in ECOWAS, she speaks 5 languages, she's blah blah blah. I said, she said, yes, her name is Chioma Omeruah, and you'll be surprised if you know who she is. And it just went from there. Yeah. Okay, so Lord of the Ribs was my first ever show that I did, which was, I'll call it my coming out show, because that was the first time a lot of people saw the face behind the voice. They had heard the voice, they knew of Chigul, but they never saw Chigul as a full-fledged person. And I also, on that same stage, I remember even the way I was introduced on stage. Basket Mouth was like, we have another new an artist. Please show her some love. She's a first-time singer. We know that you will try to encourage her act. So please give it up for C-Flow. And I walk out on stage as Chigul, and everywhere erupted. Like, it was amazing. I felt like I was floating, because it was the first time, and the love was just amazing and so tremendous. The love in that room that day was palpable. Like, literally I could touch it, and that's how I felt. Like, it was electrifying, and I felt like, wow, being on stage is amazing, you know what I mean? And Basket Mouth was so gracious to me. He was just like, he's been like a brother since then, you know what I mean? And I got to meet so many people, even like the late CD John, who I've heard of his comedy and what he did. So it was just really amazing. I was nervous, as I am a lot of times. People just don't know. But I think I just sort of like figure out how to mask it, and I get into the character that they want to see. And I so get into the character that I forget I'm nervous, and I put on my best performance. At the end of the day, it's what they like, they'll pick. So you can't kill yourself too much. So that's how I get over my nervousness. I always consider myself somewhat blessed, because maybe it's because of the kind of niche I have. Is not a common kind of genre of comedy. But then again, even in that, I have come across some stumbling blocks in a way. I consider myself really, really blessed, because a lot of people, and my senior colleagues, I call them, Basket Mouth, AY, Bovi, all of these people embraced me so much. Alibaba, like, these are like people I call mentors, and Julius Agu gave me opportunity after opportunity to showcase what I had to show to the people. But I have had times when there are dry seasons where there's nothing happening and you're sitting at home 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, no event, and you might be having needs at the time and you can't meet them because there's no money, so you just have to wait. Or you now spend your time trying to diversify your brand, which is one of the reasons why we did diversify the brand, because it wasn't just about just doing stand-up comedy. We wanted to show that we had other things we could do and we could make money from other things that we were doing. So it was my manager, who's just, amazing, happens to be my older brother, and just decided that, what else can we do? What other side of you can we tap into? Okay, this voiceover thing, we can do voices for cartoons, we can do voices for other people and movies and things like that, and what else can you do? Oh, you sing jazz, you can do covers, you can just create, do just weird things. And and then shooting videos. And so now I started recently shooting these dance videos. Like, I realized the last time I shot a dance video was like 30 something thousand views just of me dancing in my neck collar when I had a neck brace. And it was like, okay, here we go. And then you're now focused on other things. I've also had to experience, because of aesthetics, I would call it. I've been turned down for jobs because of I was not slim enough and I was not young enough. Not that I wasn't good enough, I just wasn't young enough and slim enough. So when you hear things like that, it makes you sort of feel bad, because you're like, but I'm good. Oh, she's really funny, but we want somebody slimmer and younger, you know. And that doesn't do anything to help your self-esteem, because you're already feeling like a little bad about yourself because of just what the industry requires. It's a very visual industry. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's something it's just what it is. Sexiness seems to sell a little bit more. And like, I don't do a lot of exposing of myself, you know, even with when I'm wearing clothes. I'm very, because I realize my brand is also very family oriented, so I have to be cognizant of that fact. So I make sure that whatever it is that I'm doing should be at least acceptable by family, like mother, father, you know, something I can tell my pastor, watch it because I mean it. But then a lot of the world doesn't necessarily accept that. And then I've also come across people who don't understand my brand. They don't know what Chigul does. They don't understand that kind of funniness. So then it's not funny to them, but it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean? And I realize, unless there's something I really want from you as a brand, because there are brands who have thought about using me for things, but they're like, she's a little too local. You know what I mean? Yeah, they've considered me local, and I'm like, okay. So I also have to now show that I have a posh side. So I've had to not just be Chigul, but allow Chioma to sometimes take the forefront, because there are times when they need to see Chioma, not always Chigul. They need to know that there is a Chioma, that Chioma exists, and Chioma is the one that went to school, and Chioma has knowledge, and Chioma is proper, and Chioma can speak proper English. Chioma can mesh well with a corporate crowd. Chioma can MC a corporate event, you know what I mean? And maybe have some element of Chigul inside. Chioma can be an actor and do a part that's not Chigul friendly, you know what I mean? So I've had to sort of like learn to what's the word now, bring out the other sides of me. I have an amazing fan base. What I've discovered is my fan base is really amazing. And I mean, there are times when I could just post a picture. You know how sometimes this thing with social media, try not to expose yourself too much, because you know, you tell your secrets and internet does not forget, neither does it forgive. And people just are very encouraging. A lot of people are very encouraging. You know, like, you know, the interviews people have seen about me, they've, you know, and they'll just reach out and, you know, oh, Chio, where are you? We don't see you, we miss you, you know, do something or something like that. And then also, I find myself that in my spare time, when I have nothing to do, I just create, you know. I create, that's how those characters were born, out of just boredom, and I had nothing doing. And I realized, oh, I'm good with a French accent, I can do a French girl. Oh, I'm good with an Indian accent, I can do an Indian woman. Oh, I'm good with an American accent, I can do like 4 Americans. And so I just create all these things to pass the time. And you have down moments, and there are times when you don't necessarily want to be a celebrity smiling and taking pictures, because it's not necessarily that rosy at home, you know what I mean? So I just, in those moments, I have God, so I just hold on to God. I think I do a lot of praying and a lot of singing.